Welcome back to the Real Estate 401k show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein. Over there is Ryan Gerdes and
the ghost of Justin Frederick.
Yeah, I still like my idea. We're gonna get bobbleheads.
The fat heads, like, dude. Did I ever show you the pictures of when we all went to San Diego about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I went down to the place with you.
Yeah.
Oh, those things. Okay,
we need those.
Those
dude.
are what we need.
We'll get one of like just a terrible picture of Justin.
Well, he sent one to us today.
Oh, he did.
I don't think not even in the dark places of my heart would I ever take that picture.
That'd be pretty messed up.
It would be messed up. Well, actually, get back to me on that.
Yeah, it depends on how nice he is this week. Anyhow, so yeah, we're missing Justin because he had a dermatology appointment, and so yeah, they did some fun stuff. So he was like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't show my face on today's podcast."
I wouldn't. All right. Well, anyways, you're gonna want to text the word "sit" to 623-AZ Recon. That's the word "sit" to 623-AZ Recon. All right, so interesting, just trend. There's a lot of reasons why I love real estate, but just all the trends and all the things that happen and trying to understand the whys and where the opportunities are really get me excited. And a lot of people think they get nervous about the market. You just got to know what it's doing.
The thing that baffles me the most is like one small, it's like the butterfly effect. One small little action or event or whatever can send a massive group of people spiraling into either chaos or bliss or all the different extreme feelings that are out there that end up just coming out or into their pocketbook as it pertains.
Why do you
to real
think
estate.
that is?
I think. Media, I think, plays a bigger role into it now than ever. So where it used to take a long time for information to spread, by the time it got from, the originator to 20 people down the line, it was already old news. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, all right, this isn't really a thing anymore. But now it's like, oh, hey, we have, 7% more inventory or 10% more days on market. Then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, I need to act drastically. I need to act now. I need to act quick because I've heard that in a movie sometime before, and that's how I'd better behave. And then instead of just spoon feeding it to themselves, they're like, no, I better just eat all this information right now, and then let it just blow up into my brain. And I mean, I get it. I've gotten inside of my own head before, right? I've overthought things before.
And which Ryan was there at the time? Because you got multiple Ryans up there. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fair. But the moral of the story is, like, if you've had a bad day, if you haven't had enough sleep, if your diet's not right, then all of a sudden you can bring that into work, or you can bring that into the decision making on whether or not you're going to how you're going to deal with your real estate portfolio or whatever that is inside of your life. And so when I see these types of things, I know that just the smallest little tick on something is going to make people act drastically, and it's to their own detriment. And so we as a team are always trying to just kind of be that voice of reason. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an optimistic, but I'm not a cynic. I honor myself as being a realist about things, and so just trying to take everything into stride. Like, I don't think that I don't think things are sunshine and unicorns all the time, but I do know when people are scared, there's a shit ton of money to be made.
Well, I think it's cooler heads always prevail, and I agree with you. I think a lot of this has to do with the media, and I think the media is the ultimate root of this. It's not necessarily, though, the path that people are getting their information. There's a lot of people that aren't following the media, but because of the media, they're talking with family, they're talking with friends who just don't understand the market. And I think when it comes down to real estate, whether you're a first-time home buyer or wanting to build a real estate portfolio, you always have to consider the source of the information. Where are you going to go? You need to make that decision of who am I going to listen to. I was last week. I was watching. I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers,
They're
and
coming together.
they're coming together. But so this it was not this past Sunday, but the Sunday beforehand. It was a horrendous game. I mean, they just were playing terrible. A lot of mistakes, a lot of things going against them. And every time the camera focused and panned in Mike Tomlin, dude,
Cool as a cucumber.
cool and collect. I'm like, that's a guy that I would want to listen to, be coached by, because he does not wear any emotions on his sleeves.
Oh, and so all this is spurred from, we were talking about this article that we read this morning, and it was a result of the reporting of numbers, and there's no news here over the past month. I mean, rates have kind of ticked up and ticked down, and they've gotten a little bit wobbly. But we have seen a 34% increase in September compared to the year before as far as number of active listings. And so that is significant. Why is that? I think that there's, we've talked about it before, where there's a lot of people that were just, stuck onto their rate, and they were just holding on to it as long as they could. But I also think that they're starting to see good opportunities right now. And God, if I just had a chance to spend 5 minutes with these people, they probably are in an excellent equity position where they should probably be holding on to some of their inventory. Not all of it, but to some of it. Because also we don't want to totally flood the market with investment properties, because we are experiencing a little bit lower on rental rates, and so it's making it harder for some of these investors to make these numbers pencil out. I think that if it weren't for the media and kind of like the craziness or the butterfly effect or I know that there's 1,000 different nouns that are out there that describe this type of event, that if they just kicked back, took a second, thought about it, because right now, there's most of the time when I'm walking into listing appointments or I'm talking to people who are discussing liquidating part of their portfolio, I just don't think that it's the greatest time to sell. I think that there's some people that should probably reassess their situation. Now, we have some folks that are going through certain life events that are forcing them to sell. So it's okay. Let's deal with those facts. But I think that if people were just kind of taking that cool and calm approach, they would say, you know what, there's still more opportunity here. I should probably reposition myself to either stand still or to make a purchase or start chipping away at their debt, start making better overall financial decisions. And I know that that's not all of them, but I can promise you that there's a lot of people in here that fit into that category.
All right, you're going to want to text the word SIT to 623-AZ-RECON. That's SIT to 623-AZ-RECON. We haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of this article, but the title of the article is "More Houses Are Coming Up for Sale and Just Sitting There." And we want to have a conversation with you as far as what does even that headline mean as far as opportunities for you, whether you're buying or you're selling. All you got to do, again, is text the word SIT to 623-AZ-RECON. To me, there's no story there in the headline, truth be told. More houses are coming on the market. Inventory is growing, which means the more the inventory, the longer the homes are sitting on the market.
There's a lot of implications whenever you have an increased supply. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to your point is people operate under, I think, a few assumptions when it comes down to selling their house. And again, it's consider your source of information. Where are these assumptions based off of, and who is forming your opinions? First assumption is, if I want to go buy another home, I'm supposed to sell the home that I'm in. It's just, and I've been victim of that over the last 30 years, nobody sat. I didn't have a real estate wealth manager in my corner and going, "Hey, wait a minute." Um, so then the second assumption is, well, if Ryan's telling me it's not a great time to sell, then I can't go buy. And what's missing in the equation that people aren't understanding, and what we bring to the table is exploring the options.
Hmm.
Those two assumptions aren't the only scenarios. There are scenarios where you can have your cake and you can eat it too.
Hmm. And you've heard. I probably sound like a broken record. Where the new home builders right now are the ones that are having the big market share, and the reasons why are there's a lot of them, but probably the biggest one is their financial position. They're able to offer more aggressive financing than what a regular retail loan officer would be able to offer. I mean, Justin, if he was here, he would nod his head in agreement and say, "Yeah, it's they're able to sell off sheet pricing. They're able to sell tranches of cash that they've bought back in 2021." And so they've put themselves in a very unique position to navigate this market. And so I'm constantly keeping my eye out on new homes. And so there's the other thing here that we've said before, but there's inventory out there that's not even on the radar because of new home builders. So there's a lot of things to consider before you're starting to put a for sale sign out in a market like this. And so I would just implore you, before you make rash decisions, understand what the market's doing. Talk to somebody who really knows the numbers, especially in your specific market, because this isn't just for Maricopa. This is we can pinpoint certain neighborhoods, but also understanding that, folks, it is not 2021 anymore. You need to understand that we aren't going to get 30 offers in one weekend and $50,000 above list price, no appraisal, no inspection. Those days are those. We're not in that market anymore. Could we see a market like that again in the future? Absolutely.
Sure.
But it's not right now. And so you need to maximize on those things as far as pricing, showability, and availability. So if you're thinking about putting your property on the market, you're going to have, if you haven't been taking care of your home, or if there's been neglect or whatever, then get ready to drop some cash on your home and get it, model ready.
And where I was kind of going also with the options, because here's what a lot of people are doing is they're saying, "Hey, I am going to wait for rates to drop because I'm going to get more money for my home." But if you get more money for your home, you're going to be paying more money for your next home.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you have your cake and eat it too? And I'm not saying being a landlord's for everybody. And I'm not saying everybody who owns a home, that home is a specific candidate to become a rental or an income producing property. What I'm saying is explore the options. There is a scenario, and this is what we do is let's take a look at the home that you're living in. Let's take a look at all the numbers. Let's build out our 5-year pro forma. And does it make sense to turn this house into an income producing property and then realize more and more appreciation throughout the years and positive cash flow, and still then go and take advantage of today's market on the acquisition of your next property, because there's not as many buyers in the market, because inventory's up, you're going to get a better deal on the house. And and again, it's not for everybody. I get it, but I can't think of a valid reason that somebody wouldn't raise their hand and say, "You know what? Let me check it out. Let me text the word SIT to 623AZ Recon and just explore it as an option." Because if somebody would have sat down with me when I sold my first home, I think it was it was about the year 2000 or 1999. Man, I would be in a much different financial place in my life right now.
So can we both agree that we're in somewhat of a flat market? If anything, we're more or less hedging towards a buyer's market.
100%.
Okay. When do you think the curve starts to uptick and starts to hedge towards the seller market? What timelines do you think?
Well, it's a great question.
And we don't have a crystal ball,
We don't have a crystal
but
ball, and and I'm not going to pretend to be smarter than the guys that sit on the Federal Reserve and the people that make decisions and as far as mortgage rates and so forth. So I'm kind of done just predicting. I think and this is the danger. I think when we see interest rates, mortgage interest rates between 5.5 and 5.75. Buyers are right now. They're listening. They're going, "Oh man, I'm going to be ready to jump in the game. I need that interest rate to get down there. That excites me." I think though at that point it becomes a seller's market.
okay.
The lower the rate, I think that we've seen in Maricopa County over the last 4 or 5 years, the lower the rate, the more it favors sellers.
I think that that's a huge contributing factor. I also think another huge market indicator is once you boil down your finances and you take into, and when it comes to real estate, when you really understand your appreciation, the tax advantages, the rate in which you can pay off a loan, and the passive income, if there is any, when it becomes a market that it is either the same or cheaper to own than it is to rent, then we're going to start seeing numbers like we did in 2021 again.
Yeah.
And so I think we have a minimum of at least 12 months, more likely 18 months in front of us before we start seeing those numbers collide again. Because right now, it is more expensive to own than it is to rent. And unless you're in one of those areas that are designed strictly for, I'm going to call it flash, like people that want to live on the beach in California, live on the beach in Florida, or have a high rise in New York. Those attract a different type of investor or a different type of buyer. But for places where we rely on tourism, manufacturing, business, et cetera, much like Maricopa County, then we need to see rental rates either go up or interest rates go down or both so that we can start seeing those numbers intersect.
All righty. Well, there you have it. At the end of the day, it's all about exploring options. It's all about talking and surrounding yourself with people who understand the real estate market. Just because somebody in your family or in your circle of friends has got opinions, it doesn't mean that they know exactly what they're talking about. And we'd love to have that discussion with you. We'd love to help you understand how to build wealth in real estate. But more importantly, if you're thinking about putting a for sale sign in your yard, or you're wanting to buy but you don't know what to do with the house that you're in, you're prime for a conversation with us. All you got to do is text the word SIT to 623AZ Recon. That's the word SIT to 623AZ Recon.